Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 15 is entitled as Puruṣottamaḥ Vidya, Puruṣottamaḥ Yogam. Sloka 19, Part 5. Yo māmevam asammudaha janāti puruṣottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena Bharata. In the previous session, we learned that Lord has two signs, Akila Heya Pratyanika and Kalyanika Tana, which cannot be separated from him, and therefore he is superior to anyone and everyone. Next, we started learning about his fourth Lakshana, which is Ananta, boundless. He is not limited by place, he is not limited by time, he is not limited by object. Trivida Paricheda Rahita. We learned how he is not restricted by place because he is Vibhu. Now let's learn how he is not restricted by time, the time factor, Kala. When we say he is not restricted by time, then the first question that comes into our mind is, Rama in Traita Yuga lived for 11,000 years, and in Dwapara Yuga, Krishna was present for around 125 years. Then how can we say he is not limited, restricted by the time? Yes, he is not restricted by the time because he doesn't have a start nor end. The Lord appears in various forms to perform his pastimes, but his Swarupa does not have start or end. Well, this also applicable to the living entities, to the Jivatmas, that they are also not restricted by Kala. Jivatma was present in past, he is present now, and he will be present in future. Krishna himself said this in the 4th chapter, Bahuni me vyatithani janmani tava charjana. That is, many births, both you and I have passed. Tani aham veda sarvani natvam veda param tapa. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. Also in the 2nd chapter, Krishna said, Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadipaha nachaivana bhavishyamaha sarve vayam ataha param. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So from these things we can understand that Jivatma is not restricted by Kala, time. Jivatma is present all the time, in the past, in the present, and in the future, same as the Lord. But though the Jivatma is not restricted by Kala, it is certainly restricted by Desha, place, that we already learnt in the previous session. If I get up from the place where I am sitting and walk to the next room, that means the Atma, the Jivatma, is moving from one place to another place. It is not just a body is moving from one place to another place. Body cannot do it. Because of the presence of the Atma within the body is able to move to another place, which means the Atma is moving from one place to another place. Once I move to the another room, then I am no more in the previous room. I cannot be present in both rooms because Atma is Anu, Jivatma is Anu. It is minute. Therefore it is restricted by the place, Desha. Whereas if Paramatma decides to move from one place to another place, it is a challenge for him. It is not possible for him to do so. Why? Because there is no place where He is not existing. He is present everywhere. Why? Because He is Vibhu. There is no space or a place where He is not present. In other words, there cannot be a place or an object where the Lord is not present. There cannot be such an object. There cannot be such a place where the Lord is not there. Therefore, moving is not an option for the Lord because He is Vibhu. In this way, the Lord is not restricted by the time factor, and the Lord is not restricted by the desha, location. And the third one is vastu parichedam rahityam. He is not restricted by objects, by any object. We can see this in two ways. Let's see the first one. Say, I tell a person that you are very kind, like Lord Rama. Or I say, you are very attractive, like Krishna. Or I say to a person, you are as tall as a tree. Or I may say to someone, your face is like a full moon. These are different descriptions, just for some example, that we use while we talk. So what we are trying to do here by such statement is we are trying to measure. We are measuring something with something else. Here the face of someone is measured and compared to a full moon. Someone's kindness is measured and compared with the kindness of Lord Rama. So one object is scaled with another object to know the greatness of that object which is being compared. But when it comes to the Lord, we literally cannot compare Him to any of the vastu, any of the objects. We learned that from the previous definition, Svetara Samasta Vastu Vilakshana. He is different, He is greater, He is superior to all the vastus. Vastu means object, element, however we call it. If He is different and greater, then how can we compare the Lord with any of these things? Therefore, we cannot say the Lord is like this, like that person. It is not at all possible. It is certainly possible if there is a person who is equal to Him. Then I can say that Lord is like this person. Or it is possible to say that this person is greater than the Lord, if that person exists. But in both cases, there is no one is equal to Lord, and there is no one is greater than the Lord. Then how can we measure anyone with the Lord, anything with the Lord? We can never compare any of these things with the Lord. It is not at all possible. Then one may ask a question. We do hear quite often that the Lord's eyes are like lotus. He has a lotus feet. His divine form is like a molten gold. He is effulgent like thousands of sun together, etc. So here we are comparing Him with other material objects. It is everywhere in the scriptures, and it is also in the writings of great saints. If we cannot compare the Lord with any of the object, then why do we hear such things? First reason is they are just upamana. They are just some examples so that people like us who have no clue how the Lord looks like can understand His greatness with these examples. Otherwise, we will have no idea about His eyes, His nose, His ears, is beautiful form, smiling face, sweet voice, attracting side glance, his walk, his speech, and his activities. And there's another explanation is given that these upamanas, that he has lotus feet, lotus eyes, etc., cannot be accepted. Why? Because comparing the Lord's beauty with these material, achetana, the jada material, is an insult to him, bringing down his glories by comparing to the material thing. However beautiful, however great these material objects may be, but they all have defects. Defect that we already studied in previous session, that achetanas goes through variation, changes. If we take a lotus flower and keep it for some days, it's not going to be the same. It's going to deteriorate. Then how can we compare a lotus flower to Lord's beautiful eyes? Therefore, it is not a glorification by saying so that Lord's lotus face, lotus eyes, lotus feet, it is bringing down his glories. This is how the great saints say. The second reason is we cannot restrict the Lord within an object. The previous reason what we saw is we cannot compare the Lord with any object. Now what we are going to learn is that the Lord is not restricted within any particular object. We can understand this with some examples. I am restricted within this body. If I have to take another body, then obviously I have to leave this current body to take another body. In case of Saubhari Muni, he was able to take 50 bodies, but he was not present in all those additional 49 bodies. His Atma was present only in one principal body, and his Jnana, the consciousness, spread to the other 49 bodies. When it comes to the Lord, he is not restricted within one element, one object like us. We can never say that Lord is present in a list of objects and not present in another list of objects. Say, this is a pot and this is a cloth. That means the cloth is not pot and the pot is not cloth. Also it implies that the cloth is not present in the pot and the pot is not present in the cloth. That means the pot is restricted as pot and the cloth is restricted as cloth. But when it comes to the Lord, he is present within the pot and he is present also within the cloth as Antaryami. We cannot say that Paramatma is present in pot but not in the cloth, or he is present in the cloth but not in the pot. He is present in both. He is present in everything. Therefore, we can easily say that pot is also Paramatma, cloth is also Paramatma, because he is present within them. Therefore, the Lord is not limited by any vastu, objects. Two reasons: because he cannot be compared to any objects, as he is greater and beyond all the objects. Secondly, he is not restricted by any one object. He is present in everything and everywhere. Therefore, he is not restricted by vastu. and he is not restricted by Kala because he is present all the time, and he is not restricted by Desha, a place. We are also not restricted by Kala, but we cannot be present in all the places at the same time. That is only possible by the Lord. That covers the fourth Lakshana, which is Ananta. He doesn't have a boundary. He who is boundless, limitless. The last Lakshana, Jnananandaika Swarupa, will be covered in the next session. Namaste. Hare Krishna.